Have you ever put on a pair of shoes, looked in the mirror, and suddenly felt older? Maybe your posture dipped a little, your stride looked heavier, or the sparkle you usually carry just wasn't there. It's a strange feeling, isn't it? That quiet moment when the woman you feel like inside, confident, alive, sharp, doesn't quite match the woman staring back at you. And the culprit is often something small, something we overlook every day, our shoes. Because the wrong shoes don't just hurt. They can age your entire look, steal your height, dull your energy, and make even your favorite outfit fall flat. So today, we're going to gently uncover the 7 shoe traps so many women over 60 across America fall into. Without judgment, just understanding. And I'll show you the elegant, comfortable alternatives that lift your posture, brighten your silhouette, and bring back the presence you deserve. Let's start with the heart of everything. Why your feet, after 60, need a completely different kind of support than they used to. As I've grown older, I often find myself looking down at my bare feet. And every time I do, it feels a little like opening a well-loved journal. The kind that's softened at the edges, with pages that have been turned 1,000 times, each one holding a memory, that still feels warm when you touch it. That's what my feet feel like to me now. A quiet record of everywhere I've been and everything I've carried. And if your feet have been talking to you more lately, aching, tiring faster, or feeling a little more sensitive, you're certainly not the only one. I remember a podiatrist telling me once. He leaned forward and said, "Listen, almost every single woman over 55 who walks into my office is dealing with this in some way." The way he said it felt almost like he was letting me in on a secret, a truth we all share but rarely say out loud. Our feet change with time, and they do it so gently we barely notice. Until suddenly, we do. The arch that used to spring back now behaves more like the suspension on a beloved older car. Still reliable, still graceful, just needing a bit more support than before. The soft cushion under the ball of the foot thins out, which is why that kitchen tile floor you've crossed for decades suddenly feels a little less forgiving. And the tendons, well, they're like old elastic bands. Still functional, still strong, but not quite as snappy as they once were. Even our center of gravity shifts forward a touch, and we end up working harder, without realizing it, just to stay steady. When our shoes don't support these changes, it sets off what I like to call a little domino effect. The wrong pair can gently pull your posture downward. They can steal a bit of height, just enough to change the way your silhouette carries itself. And when your feet don't feel secure, your body responds in small ways. Shorter steps, tighter shoulders, a hint of hesitation that wasn't there before. Not because you're any less confident, but because your body is whispering, "Help me out here." I had one of those wake-up moments at my grandson's birthday party. I was wearing a pair of old flats I'd loved for years. They used to be perfect, soft, flexible, easy. But that day, every step on the cool tiles sent a little ache from my foot up to my lower back. At one point, my granddaughter looked up at me and said, "Grandma, why are you walking so slow today?" When I caught my reflection in the mirror across the room, my heart dropped a little. The woman staring back wasn't the same one who raised 3 children, ran a department, and traveled halfway across the world with nothing but a carry-on and a brave heart. In the mirror, I saw a hesitant version of her, a stranger in my own story. And that was the moment I finally understood. It wasn't me that had changed. It was the shoes I kept wearing out of habit. Since then, I've come to live by a little mantra. Don't change who you are. Just change your shoes. That simple idea shifted everything for me. It reminded me that aging isn't about becoming less. It's about learning what our bodies need now, and honoring that wisdom with grace when you do. Not only does your posture change, your energy changes. You start to move like yourself again. And now that we've spent a little time understanding what our feet are quietly trying to tell us, it's the perfect moment to look at something else. Something that surprises a lot of women. There are a few very common shoe traps almost all of us fall into, even the most stylish among us. And I'd bet good money that at least one of these traps is sitting quietly in your closet right now. So as we go through them, let's do a little closet audit together, shall we? Once I really started paying attention to my feet, listening to them the way you'd listen to an old friend who's finally telling you the truth, I began to notice something. So many of the shoes I'd kept over the years weren't choices made for the woman I am today. They were choices left over from the woman I used to be. Not wrong, not foolish, just outdated. And the sweetest thing about reaching this stage of life is that we get to choose again, thoughtfully, kindly, confidently. And along the way, I realized there are a few shoe traps a lot of us fall into. I've danced through several of them myself, so there's no judgment here, only understanding. The first one is the beauty must hurt trap. It's that old whisper many of us grew up with, the one that said a woman has to endure a bit of pain to look truly elegant. Maybe that's why some of us kept those pointy stilettos, long past the time our feet stopped agreeing with them. A foot doctor once leaned in and told me, those heels push 5 to 7 times more pressure onto the front of your foot. When you think about it, that means every step is like carrying extra weight you never asked for. And beyond the pressure, those heels change how we move. Shorter steps, tighter legs, a body that braces without even thinking. One woman shared that she wore her favorite stilettos to her granddaughter's wedding. I looked elegant, she said. But while everyone was mingling and dancing, I felt like I was frozen in place. A low block heel with a soft round or almond toe gives all the grace with none of the punishment. Now, the second trap is one I know I've been guilty of. I call it the convenience turns into carelessness trap. This one begins so innocently, slip-ons, soft loafers, the kind of shoes you can step into without bending down or fussing with anything. And at first they feel wonderful. But shoes with no structure make your foot slide around just a little at first, then more. Your knees, hips and lower back quietly. Work overtime trying to keep you steady. And visually, well, they tend to sink and sag over time. I remember looking down at a pair I used to adore, suddenly noticing how flat and tired they looked, and realizing the irony. The very shoes I chose for comfort were making me look exhausted. A structured leather sneaker or a small-heeled loafer brings the ease back, but with intention. And then there's a trap that's a bit more subtle, a bit more about the eye. This is the lost in proportion trap. Chunky sandals, heavy boots, those thick platforms that promise stability. They're tempting, I know. But the larger the shoe, the smaller we look inside it. It's like putting a delicate painting in an oversized frame. Instead of highlighting the art, the frame swallows it. Thick soles can even slow our natural pace by 15 to 20%, and you can feel it in your body. Every step becomes a little more effort, a little less flow. A friend once told me she bought trendy platform sandals, hoping for a little extra height. But when she looked in the mirror, her feet seemed lost inside them. A light ankle boot or a soft low wedge brings back that lovely balance. And then there's the context confusion trap. This one doesn't come from the shoe at all. It comes from where we wear it. Flip-flops feel heavenly at the beach or around the house. But in a nice restaurant they shout, "Too casual," before you even sit down. And shiny, patent flats? Graceful at night, yes. But under bright sunlight, they reflect every bit of glare and overpower the outfit. I like to remember a simple rule. Your shoes should whisper your style, not shout it. A soft leather sandal with a small heel or a matte leather flat blends beautifully with nearly anything and keeps the look quietly polished. Once I recognized these traps, something shifted. Choosing shoes stopped feeling like guesswork and started feeling more like self-respect. And that's when I began using what I now call my little 3S guide. A simple compass to help me choose shoes that love me back. The first S is support. To me, support is really an act of kindness. The gentle way we care for feet that have carried us through every chapter of our lives. A well-cushioned sole can ease knee pressure by nearly 40%, and that alone can transform how you feel at the end of the day. The second S is stability. Stability is confidence. When your heel feels secure and the shoe holds you just right, you don't have to think about your balance. Your body simply moves the way it wants to. I once heard a woman say that after switching to low-heeled loafers, "I didn't look younger, I felt younger." That's the power of stability. And the third S is style. Not fashion, not trends. Style, your signature. The quiet way you express yourself through color, texture, and shape. Soft neutrals, classic silhouettes, materials that age gracefully. They don't call for attention. They simply harmonize with who you are. So, let me offer you a little tool I call the 3 questions test. The next time you pick up a pair of shoes, ask yourself, is it kind to my feet? Does it give me confidence when I walk? And does it tell the story I want to tell? If the answer is yes to all 3, that isn't just a shoe, it's a partner in your day. Now that we've cleared away the confusion and have our compass, the 3S guide, we're ready for the most empowering part. In our final section, I'll show you the specific types of shoes that flatter our bodies beautifully and how to pair them with the clothes already waiting in your closet to create a look that feels fresh, elegant, and unmistakably you. At this stage in life, every step we take carries a little wisdom, a little courage, and a whole lot of history. And the shoes we choose can either lift that story or weigh it down. So when you look at your closet today, just ask yourself one simple question. Is this pair supporting me or pulling me down? Because you're not just walking through life anymore. You're leading the way, and you deserve to do that on a foundation that's steady, graceful, and beautifully true to who you are. And before we wrap up, I would truly love to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, which of the shoe traps have you found yourself caught in? And is there a specific style you'd like me to break down in a future video? If this helped you feel even a little more confident in your choices, feel free to subscribe. Not out of obligation, but so we can keep walking this journey together, one thoughtful, elegant step at a time.